I just get me too'd by a Caesar.
Happy DocMas residents, and welcome to the Dr. DC podcast.
Are you doing the Mandarin again?
My name is Producer Richard.
Some people call me
Some people call me Producer Richard. Some people call me a space cowboy. Some call me the Doctor of Love. But those people also call him the Doctor of the Dr. DC podcast.
Hello.
And this year, like every year before, we will be releasing an episode every day for the 12 days leading up to Christmas, as we like to call DocMas.
12 days, 12 drinks, 12 episodes, all recorded a single day. And this is part 7 of that. We're
over the hump, baby.
This is episode 152 of the podcast, but part 7 of this year's DocMas.
Good God.
Yeah.
What a time to stop.
What a time to be alive.
Yes, exactly.
Moon pie.
You love that, don't you?
Yeah.
And for this episode, we are joined by our very own Captain America.
That's right.
Mr. Paul Scholz.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you. Absolutely.
And for lucky number 7, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Absolutely. We'd love to have you here.
We could never make it to unlucky 13 because 12 we tap out. But
yeah. I mean, I tap out usually a little bit before that, but I'm still here, I guess.
Yeah, no, Paul, I mean, we've known each other for a couple of years now. You and I worked together for a bit on the UComic-Con, the convention that happens up here. You think you still work with the Comic Society, right?
Last year was my last year.
No way.
With them, yeah. So I put in about 5 years with the Yukon Comic Culture Society, and they're in great hands. They're going to do some great things.
Yeah, I mean, they still do like all sorts of events and stuff like that. I actually just saw them yesterday at the Santa Claus parade in town, which was fun. But you frequently, for these events, you've dressed up in your finest Captain America gear.
I have indeed, and it's an amazing it's amazing feeling to be able to dress up like a character such as Captain America. Not just because holy cow, look at me, I'm Captain America, but because the reaction of people. Then they point and smile, and it's you're giving them a warm feeling.
Yeah. Well, and there's a direct connection to your past too, because the soldier thing, right? I mean, you have a huge connection to the military, and
that's true. I was in the army for at least 3 months, and
your son?
My son went into the Canadian Armed Forces as well. Yeah, there's
that
a strong
kid is
connection
a beast, by the way. Yeah, your son is just like it's as if you were like, I want to craft a version of myself, but to be like stronger and faster and better than I am. That's what your son looks like. He just looks like this like huge monstrous version of yourself that's like super young and muscly and like handsome and
he's like my mini golem.
Yeah, you've really like you've cloned yourself and perfected. I think like I was just like, damn, that kid is like a monster. That kid is gonna like kick some ass.
That's great. Thanks.
I mean, all of that is true. I mean, I've seen at those different comic events, I've seen like little kids go like, Captain America. They like love to come up and get pictures. It's pretty cool.
It's so awesome. And I myself got to roast Captain America when Paul Scholz was dressed as Captain America. We did an event for UComic-Con during the UComic-Con. My own not-for-profit did a roast of Captain America, and we all dressed up like different Marvel characters. I know, as a guy from the DC podcast, but this was before then.
But Paul was such a good sport about that. He's such a lovely guy. I actually felt really bad that like the whole night was about making him feel bad.
I think that's what was perfect though, because you're the perfect person to do that to, because you're so jovial that like it's not like I don't feel like it's affecting you, because it feels like you're just like a duck, or all that just rolls off your back.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, no, it was a great time. Also, Robin was there.
Robin, you mean Rob?
Yeah, he aged out. He goes by Rob now.
Poor Rob. Yeah, yeah, he was there. He represented DC for sure.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we're very happy to have you on for DocMas, and we've got some.
We got a piece of news to talk about first.
We have news.
Yeah. Kevin Conroy hopes to return to the Arrowverse as Batman Beyond.
So he's, I don't know how much, Paul, you watch like these Arrowverse shows, Flash and Arrow and stuff.
Have you seen any of those?
I've watched. Actually, I was doing some tabulating before this podcast, so I had an answer. So I've seen at least one season of the Arrow,
right?
At least one season of Doom Patrol.
Oh yeah.
I watched the whole thing. That was awesome. I've watched Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, great show.
And actually, fun fact: my niece is an extra in last season's final episode. Yeah.
No
shit.
Yeah, it's so cool. I'll point that out later on.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
And we've watched a few seasons of The Flash.
Nice. So in this, they're doing their big annual crossover, but this year they're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths, the biggest story DC has ever done.
It's very exciting sounding.
And Kevin Conroy, famed voice of animated Batman and video game Batman, is playing an older Bruce Wayne in this crossover. So now he said that he wants to, when this crossover is done, he wants to play like old Bruce in a Batman Beyond show or something like that.
Yeah, but he was basically, while speaking to comicbook.com, Conroy expressed joy over the possibility of coming back to Batman's CW popular shared universe, and stated, "I was thinking that as I was doing this, that I'm kind of inhabiting old Bruce Wayne from Batman Beyond. He's not that old. Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond is like 80. He's not that old in this," referring to Crisis.
Yeah.
But he is as limited in his ability to be physical in this. He's not fully able-bodied in that sense. He's like old Bruce Wayne from Batman Beyond. And I was using the voice actually from old Bruce Wayne from Batman Beyond. I was thinking it would be great to do that, and I would love it.
Yeah. I mean, he played old Bruce.
That's exactly, yeah.
So
he's probably doing that voice when he was doing the show.
Better suited to it. But yeah, would you be interested? Would you watch like a Batman Beyond, like a live action version of that?
I think that'd be fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, we've been dying for that forever. Like,
it has come up a lot on the show, I would say. The idea of a Batman Beyond thing.
It's such a fun thing. Like, it's a thing that they could do in CW while still being disconnected because it's from the future.
Yeah, and you get to do some stuff where you get to reference classic Batman, but you also get to create new villains. I mean, there are also established Beyond villains like Ink and Spellbinder and Blight and stuff like that. But you can also just make new ones because it's the future.
Exactly, which is what's so great about that
nice,
Batman Beyond show, right? Yeah, I think that's awesome, and I 100% support that.
I would be down for that.
Without a doubt. All right, we got a ton of questions, so why don't we jump in?
Let's do it.
First question comes up from Facebook.
Go do the face in the book. Go do the Facebook.
And from, I think this is one of our most interesting residents.
Stephen Marion Almagro.
That's right. Stephen Marion Almagro.
Yes.
Who asks...
Number 3. He's the third of
No,
them.
he's just the only one. There's only
one.
one.
Use the same voice for
No, but I don't know what you're talking about. There's only one.
Sorry.
Stephen asks, top 5 villains for all of us here.
Right. So each of us list our top 5 villains.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul.
Well, thanks for starting with me. I had to make a list just to make sure that I got everybody. Now, mine's going to be a bit more pedestrian, I think. More, not as nuanced as these two gentlemen here. But
hey, hit us.
The Joker.
Obviously.
The Joker.
Yes, of course.
Super prolific.
Yeah.
So many different versions of him in so many different mediums. Definitely top number one for me.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always interesting to see how other people and artists and actors interpret him and bring him to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 2 is Lex Luthor.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a child of the 80s. My growing up watching the Superman movies and having Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, being the villain to Superman was amazing.
I think he's in all of those movies, even when he's not the main villain, right? He's actually in all 4 of them.
I believe he is, yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's right.
Yeah. Number 3, General Zod.
Yes.
Ooh.
Kneel before Zod.
Yes.
Kneel before Zod.
I really like that. What's
Was that
Zod?
specifically like the Superman 2, like the Terrence Stamp Zod?
And Terrence Stamp,
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah. I think it's crazy in that movie in particular that Terrence Stamp is actually in the first Superman movie as Zod, but they just don't do anything with him. But you see him and Jor-El in the Krypton scenes. It's such like uncharacteristic forward planning for a movie that came out in 79 or 78 or whatever.
What was it for planning or just fortuitous casting?
I just don't know that you get Terrence Stamp to basically be an extra, though, right? Like, they must have known they were going to do a second movie, or must have assumed they were doing a second movie. Like Terrence, we'll bring you in, you're going to do that, but we just really want you in this background scene.
Some kind of vision of it.
Yeah. That always kind of struck me as sort of odd. That movie's kind of ahead of its time that way, I would say. Yeah.
Definitely. Quickly, number 4, Captain Cold, as played by Wentworth Miller.
Well,
in the
yes.
Arrowverse.
I mean, he's that charming son of a bitch.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Now, I mean, we've seen the whole gamut of Captain Cold, too, right? We've seen the sort of charming crook, the way he was. We've seen him become very heroic. We've seen the outright hero, I think, Citizen Cold from Another Earth, and we've seen the complete villain Captain Cold that joined the Legion of Doom on Legends of Tomorrow. And he's played them all, and they're all very nuanced and different from each other.
They're very nuanced. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, Captain Cold, great villain.
Yeah, definitely.
Harley Quinn, number 5.
Oh, yeah.
Bottom there.
You got the great ones. These are really the like top characters, I think.
Are we thinking animated Harley or video games or Margot Robbie or just in general?
In general, but definitely Margot Robbie's character and some of the cartoon versions of her that I've seen as well.
Yeah. Those old, like in the animated series, voiced by Arlene Sorkin. You know, this iconic actor. They lends her voice in such a way that, like, now it's really difficult to do Harley without doing a little bit of the voice.
Oh yeah, no, that's
you know, like it's so iconic now. Yeah, that's a great list, amazing list.
Thank you,
Richard.
Yeah, I would say number 1 has got to be Mr. Freeze.
Sure,
that mostly because that storyline is so like
that Heart of Ice, that like his backstory. Yeah,
that Batman animated series backstory is so heartbreaking. Sure. I think that it gives some of the best characters is when you find the humanity in them. I think, and they do such a good job with doing that with Mr. Freeze that you almost can forgive for some of his transgressions because of what he's dealing with.
You're not going to send me to the cooler.
Nice to meet you.
A laundry service that delivers. Wow.
I think Victor Zsasz is definitely
the serial killer who makes a mark on his skin every time he kills. He gives himself an additional scar for every time he kills.
Like an actual serial killer in this, because I mean, all of these
he doesn't have a power. Yeah,
no. I think what's scary about a lot of these characters is like their ability, but I mean, often it's never really said that they kill people. You know what I mean? Like.
Right.
Joker a lot of the times will, and there's definitely points where a lot of these, but it's always a big deal when a character kills somebody.
I know what you're saying. You can hide some of the other murders behind gimmicks or things, but Zsasz, there is no gimmick. He just kills. That's what his character is. Yeah,
I think that's definitely up there.
Yeah,
I'd say Brainiac.
Sure.
I mean, somebody who's it's all based on his intelligence, and his wanting for more and to be the best and things like that. I really was like that.
Yeah.
I would say Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
That, I mean, we all can understand feeling like you're not as good as someone who's just slightly above you in a career, in a professional field, something like that. People to have that sort of need to try to achieve more, and there's basically a ceiling you never can break. I think it's maddening for anybody.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you have this sort of connection through time and the death of Barry's mother, and I really, really love that. I think there's a lot of like personal pain there, and they have such a long relationship, and it's really my favorite villain of Barry's.
Yeah.
Because they seem to, he's not the most powerful by any means, but he's the one who's got the deepest connection to him.
Definitely.
And so it's the one that will never really leave Barry.
Yeah. So my list is partially ones we've already mentioned, so I'll sort of steam through those. Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
Eobard Thawne, way up there for me. General Zod, huge villain.
Yeah.
Way up there for me. Sinestro. Is a big one for me. Green Lantern's arch enemy, who also believes that he is doing the right thing. You know, like he's one of those classic villains who is the hero of their own story. All of his different versions, from just being like a renegade Green Lantern to being like master of the Fear Lantern to his current state, member of Legion of Doom, and he's wielding the ultraviolet, the hidden spectrum of lights. I love Sinestro. Another one that I'm going to throw in there is Anton Arcane.
Oh yeah, yep.
Swamp Thing's arch enemy.
Great.
He's from like a previous century, but he very sort of disturbed upbringing. He's like a necrophiliac and stuff like that. But he essentially turns himself. He goes from being goes from being a human kid with messed up tendencies to making himself like a necromancer. He raises the dead. He makes these unmen, these sort of Frankenstein monsters, and he eventually makes himself immortal and becomes the avatar of the rot, like the opposite of the green and the red and these life forces. He becomes basically just decay and death.
Paul, did you see any of that? Paul, did you see any of the Swamp Thing show?
They're all in my PVR.
Oh,
I know.
So good. Anton Arcane doesn't show up, but if that show kept going, he would.
Well, they were talking about the rot, so it was heading in.
They were setting it up, but Anton Arcane's way up there for me. And then my last one, it has to be Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Joker is iconic. You're not going to beat the iconography of Joker, but Luthor is the villain of villains. Again, a guy who sees himself as the hero, who can outsmart and out-coordinate almost anyone, who just endless resources, infinite genius. He's gone toe-to-toe with aliens like Superman, but also gods, the idea of existence itself. He's been a hero. He's made the full turn and then gone back again. He's just sort of self-determining, this sort of kind of impressively perfect character.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Lex.
I think I only did 4, but my 5th one is Brother Eye.
Really?
Yeah.
The sentient satellite, Brother Eye.
Yeah. I just think that's so cool that basically like Batman's based on like his untrusting of the Justice League and himself develops a piece of technology that can basically figure out everybody who has powers.
Yeah.
It's basically his version of like the Professor X machine.
Right.
And then it becomes sentient. I just that technology gone wrong is always.
Well, yeah, and it's Batman's paranoia gone awry, turned on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like that Tower of Babel storyline, too, where his contingency plans get stolen. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Great question.
Yeah. Next question.
Oh, sorry. I thought you needed me to remind you that you had the questions.
Oh, no.
I was just waiting.
All right, we're leaving Facebook and going on to Twitter.
Twitter.
This next question comes from Raging G, Power and Fury. Raging G, I have sex with furries.
Wow. Just to let Paul in on the joke here, Raging G has inspired Richard to come up with jingles where the first line is something tough and the second line is something not so tough. And we've got a lot of questions from Raging G, so he's like having to come up with something new every time.
Keep them coming, Raging G.
I also have to make them rhyme, which makes it. I really paint myself into a real corner with this.
Yeah, fair enough.
Raging G asks, "What's an idea for Batman from another media, cartoons, books, or movies that you'd like to be part of the status quo for Batman?"
Right.
So a good example of that is, Batman the Animated Series brought in a bunch of new things that were not status quo before. Harley Quinn being probably the most prominent.
Yeah, that whole character just started.
The backstory for Mr. Freeze. Right. They did a lot of things.
Paul, is there anything that you've sort of seen, even in games or novels or anything like that, something that you want to see brought into the comics, right? Is what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of just the general...
Or something from movies brought into comics.
Just general status quo about that character.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood the question.
Well, no, just go for it. I think there's lots of ways to...
What I would really like to see more of is the Gotham by Gaslight style steampunk Batman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's one of Bruce Wayne's ancestors, great-grandpa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You mean like find a way to work that into the main timeline.
Yeah, maybe
there's a lineage of
exactly.
Batman.
I like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
I love that idea. I have some really bad news for you, though.
Oh.
Maybe 3 weeks ago, Earth 19, which is the steampunk universe, the Gotham by Gaslight universe, was completely destroyed.
Is that a metal? Dark Knight's metal?
No, this is just what's happening in Justice League. Perpetua destroyed all of Earth 19. Victorian Batman is gone.
Oh, that's very sad.
But I like that idea of trying to take that idea and working it into the main timeline. I think that's pretty cool. For me, there's an episode of the animated series called Feet of Clay that, I mean, they really have essentially brought this into the comics, but I just love the idea of it was Clayface's origin story. It's about this actor who can't get roles and he's on hard times and he basically signs up to be like a test subject for this like cream, this Renew You cream.
So nobody in this room.
Well, yeah. And he can like sort of remold his face a bit with this cream and he's trying to use it to get roles, but he's addicted to it. And then he tries to break in and steal it and the company finds out and they drown him in it. And it turns him into Clayface. But he's this guy with an identity crisis. He's a shapeshifter with an identity crisis. And that's like a really hard, again, just like that Heart of Ice thing, that animated series knew how like where the heartbreak was, I think, and went right for it. And I mean, technically in the comics, Clayface has gotten that, but any excuse to explore it more with any shapeshifter, really, but some like, who are you when you can literally be anyone?
Yeah.
That's a thing I would like to keep exploring.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard?
It's really just like all the bat tech from the movies I love.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. For me, like the climbing bat thing was fucking rad.
Like from Justice League?
Yeah.
The whatever he called it. I can't remember what he even called that
bat
one.
climber thing.
Yeah.
That thing's cool.
Yeah, where he's like, my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My turn.
Sorry, I didn't bring a sword.
Yeah.
My
turn. Martha.
That's my mom's name too.
Everyone's name is Martha.
Yeah.
Every mother's name is Martha. No.
Naturally.
Yeah, Martha. I see it. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense now.
I can see you like putting the red conspiracy string up.
Yeah. All right, let's leave Twitter and head on over to email.
Check the email.
I hope it's from my female. Question from our old friend, Dave Rossi.
Dashel, turn off the podcast.
Dave, what's going on? Who asks, when I was younger, last week, I would sometimes do things like Shazam, just to see.
Like say it out loud.
Yeah. Or wonder things like, if Superman just crashed into this building after being punched by a Mongol, would I stay to watch or would I run?
Right.
Let's skip the superficial overture of me asking if you fantasize about your relationships to these characters and cut right to how do you fantasize about your relationship to these characters? Go nuts, Richard. I had Dash turned off the podcast a year ago. God damn it. Okay. Nuts was a poor choice.
Right. I will admit right off the bat that I have, while driving my car, yelled Shazam just to see. I've like full voice. I've like committed my like mind and body and spirit to the idea that it would work just in case.
Yeah.
And I've yelled Shazam to see if I like transformed.
But only mentally you turned into a child.
So if Shazam's an adult man and
right,
the boy's 12 or 13 or whatever, what would happen to you?
I think I would just I think the idea is you become your fullest potential. So I'd be like in shape and I'd have hair and I'd
be successful and charming
and confident.
It's a very different guy.
Yeah. I'd feel good in my skin. Yeah. Maybe I would get younger. I'd become 22-year-old me.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, I'm indestructible.
Yeah. Give me all the cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have literally done that. Richard, Paul, what are things that like you are willing to admit that you like sort of fantasize about that are like the superhero-y things, or what do you daydream of, or what do you sometimes check to see if it is real.
I definitely I have a huge passion for Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
So there's lots of moments where I'm just like trying to like will like magical abilities, especially
Accio Caesar.
Yeah, well, if only. Or I mean, Star Wars is obviously a huge thing. So like, check the Force every once in a while.
I remember doing that as a kid for sure.
Yeah,
I haven't checked the Force in a while.
Yeah. Oh my God, you haven't checked the Force? Who knows?
I haven't fed the Force in weeks.
Yeah.
It's hard to display here on a podcast when you're trying to check the Force.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate well to audio.
No.
I had somebody go check in on the Force for me. They brought in a bowl of food. I'm sure it's fine. I definitely have done that. Shazam is one I haven't tried yet.
I will say on the ride home from when you and I saw that movie, I did it.
It's adorable.
I was at a red light and then I was just like, it's real. I was just like psyched myself up and I was like, Shazam! And then nothing happened. And I think someone was next to me at the intersection. They just saw me go like, because my windows were up, and they just saw me go like, shut up! Just probably looked like I was having a breakdown.
And then you like look over and you're like, and another thing.
You're like, wow, we got to get away from this guy. Paul?
I'll admit sometimes I've said holodeck or Arch or freeze program, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Dave Rossi, of all people, too. You said that the
freeze program. Yeah.
Fuck, I wish.
Hasn't worked yet.
Ooh, that's a good one.
God damn.
I will mention, just because this question came from Dave, I'm starting a DS9 rewatch right now, and last night I had to message Dave because I had this thing that hit me. I'm the last person to figure this out, I'm sure. But Morn is like the guy that's always in Quark's canteen.
Yeah.
Is an anagram of Norm.
Yes.
Because Norm is always at the bar at Cheers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know, but I only just figured this out. So last night I was like, Dave, is that why he's called Morn? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. It was like a huge moment for me.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
It's the last horse to cross the finish line.
That's okay. We've all been there.
Yeah.
There'll be more, don't worry.
Thank you.
Yeah. This wasn't your first. That's amazing. That's awesome. I think we answered that.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave email and go over to Reddit.
Where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
That's right. Not even once. This question comes from GCPD Officer 5562. I love that. Who asks, can someone be drowned in a Lazarus pit?
Right. So just quick reminder, the Lazarus pit is the thing that Ra's al Ghul uses to rejuvenate himself / come back to life. It has these rejuvenative and also like reanimative properties.
Drowning someone doesn't necessarily mean
but
killing
you have to
them.
you do submerge in that thing for it to happen.
You can be drowned and not die.
Well, I think this is the question, I guess, is yes, I think you're technically right. There's a distinction between the act of drowning and the act of dying. Yes, you could literally be drowned because it could go into your lungs. But could you die from drowning in a Lazarus pit? Thoughts?
No.
So the Lazarus pit reanimates you. So you're drowning, then you become reanimated, but your head's still underwater.
Yeah.
So you drown again.
Yeah.
It's turning into a loop.
Yeah.
So how many times do you have to be held underwater before you go insane? Because you know you're being resurrected, right?
Well, yeah. I think that would be the interesting story idea is like what happens if you get cut between.
Also, is it not really resurrection as much as it is like rejuvenating?
It's both.
Okay.
If you go in while alive, you come out younger.
So I don't think you can die.
If you go in dead,
you come back to life.
You come back to life.
But I don't think you can die in it because it's constantly rejuvenating you.
Well, but then I guess would it just keep making you younger until you disappear?
Like a little fetus, and then
yeah.
I don't know.
Because that's kind of
what's the
up.
time period, right? Like,
yeah.
How long do you have to be in there for it to just revive you and not make you younger?
I think we all agree that you don't just die. I don't know what would happen though.
Let's find out.
That's quite the question, officer.
Yeah. Why do you want to know?
Yeah. All right, let's go to the voicemail.
He's covering up a crime.
Hey, Dr. DC. Hey, Producer Richard. This is my 7th style doc for DocMas. This one is called The Poltergeist. It's just a group of ghosts like well-meaning ghosts that haunt and or possess objects to fight crime, but are unable to possess any living beings. So it's mostly just floating, pots, pans, various garbage in the streets. If they all work together, maybe a car, to just bully criminals into at least running into the police and being taken in that way. Anyway, bye.
Oh, that was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was yet another one from Cosmic DM. We're in this portion of the show now, the Dial Docs. It's based on Dial H for Hero, where you dial Hero into the Magic H dial, and you gain the powers and personality of a never-before-seen hero or villain. We do this every episode. We try and come up with a hero with a wacky name and crazy powers. And I think I have one.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to go first. Mine is called Quincy Quicksand. And Quincy Quicksand has the ability to basically, he can basically like slightly alter the state of matter of any solid object so that it operates like quicksand. So if you're, if you're both standing on something, he could like put his hand on the floor, and where you are, he could control it so that you started sinking in.
Oh, that's cool.
To the floor. Or it's not full phasing. Like, he can't just walk through a wall, but he could put someone in a wall or, like slightly or stuff like that. So he could basically only affect the density of matter to the level of quicksand. You can't just immediately pass through something, but he can make it so that you sort of sink in or you get stuck in it or something like that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Mine is Life Facts, who's able to, if he's seen every inch of your body, he's able to send you to anywhere in the world that he wants you to go.
Oh, like a fax, like an actual fax, like a facsimile machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
I get it.
Because he was here. It made me. Yeah.
Right. So, but he has to be able to see every inch of you.
He has to have seen every inch of you.
Right. Clothed or not clothed?
Not clothed.
Oh, okay. Not clothed.
Or no, I mean, like, he
has to have seen you completely nude.
Yeah, no.
Every piece of you nude.
He can see you clothed.
I guess I was asking if it was Terminator rules. Can clothes go back?
No,
or is it just
clothes are fine. He just has to be able to have a full image of you to be able to send to a place.
Gotcha. Okay. Does that place have to be ready to receive? Like, if someone's on the phone in the other place, can he still get through?
No. No.
Oh, busy signal.
Yeah, the lines have to be clear. Yeah, the lines have to be clear.
Dialing attempt 2 of 3.
Paul, do you have one?
I have 2.
Whoa! Okay. Let's have it.
Well, okay. First one, I asked my wife. I said, hey, I gave her the situation like you described. And she said, well, it would be have the ability to have 2 of you. So you could go do 2 things. So you could clean the house and look after the kids.
Oh, I thought it meant like be with me and go to the podcast.
Yeah. Well, 2.
No, it's just to do twice the chores.
2 of her, yeah, or 2 of her, so she could clean the house and be with the kids or work or whatever. And,
nothing to do with you.
Yeah, no, nothing to do with me. Thanks, honey. But and what would you call this? She said super mom. I'm like, obviously, okay,
yeah, of course, yes,
okay.
Absolutely,
I like that.
So the one that I came up with was
Yeah, you already are a super mom.
Aw, that's nice.
Suck up.
High praise. Yeah. So mine was Private Eye. It's a really shitty private detective that got imbued with magic power.
Right.
And the only magic power he has is the ability to turn an inanimate object into a camera for surveillance for 24 hours.
Okay, so any object becomes a camera for him.
Any object. I mean, it has to be probably
like a shoe become a camera,
like a shoe or a Millennium Falcon on a shelf, or
just like put a shoe like under.
Jesus, so grim.
Huh? What?
Right.
I didn't say he was a good detective.
See, when you said Private Psy, I thought it was that he had the ability to summon, only for his own enjoyment, the singer of Gangnam Style. He was just a private Psy. That's just
I'm like bobbing my head. You're just like, what are you doing? And I'm just got a sweet performance going on. Gangnam Style.
I like that. So anything can become a surveillance device. I like that. Great.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Like that a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah, wonderful. Wow, we would love to hear what sort of characters you residents can come up with. All you have to do is reach out to us through various social media platforms and use the hashtag DialDoc. You could send us also a question for a future episode or just chat with us online. Just talk to us through platforms such as Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast.
Twitter,
At Dr. DC.
Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast.
email,
drdcpodcast@gmail.com.
our subreddit,
r/Dr_DC.
and of course, you can phone us.
208-917-3238.
Just call us at 208-917-DCEU. And also, you can buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
On our website.
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
And of course, 5 stars. Give us a review on iTunes.
That's right.
And Patreon, baby.
Patreon.com/DrDC. It's only $5 a month. You get the full bonus episode every Friday, the double dose, and then also throughout DocMas, you get little bonus installments. We answer more questions. You also get to slowly see us deteriorate visually as the days go on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul, do you have anything you'd like to plug or places people can find you online?
Well, actually, this is my gateway or backdoor pilot into my podcast.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not.
I was legitimately excited there.
That'd be really cool. Maybe next time, guys.
Yeah, geez.
You can find me on Twitter at 76pauls and on Instagram, should you wish to go there, at Paul Yukon.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming and being on the show.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Adios.
Ciao, ciao. Say goodbye, Paul.
Goodbye.
Superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.